Another dark log. It is 12:44 p.m. on Monday, November 17th, 2025. She must be obeyed is waking up. I just been up a few minutes, just almost gagging on some stuff that I'm watching on YouTube. That's problem is it's getting normalized. So before another darkened log, and I'm dealing with my dog who's stressing me out. Join me in the living room, guys. You'll see Bug War in action. Or Lost to the Bugs. So, we have Trump's Attorney General hell-bent on prosecuting anybody and everybody that pisses off Trump. We have Stephen Miller and his ilk still pushing people left and right with his anger and vitriol, and he thinks everything's great and everything's wonderful, and we have to believe in that crap. We have Trump's mouthpiece out there that's saying, no, these numbers are wrong, This is what's happening. Propagandists left and right. It's like Nazi Germany all over again for 1930s. Except now it's 2025 and we are in America. But a form of Nazi Germany. And in our country here, we're not throwing people in concentration camps. No. What we're doing is throwing them ICE detentions for time and then either releasing them because we can prove their United States citizenship, or if you are a dark skin of any kind, darkened anyway, in any kind of shade other than white, if you are that, you're open season for deportation. I came across a story that kind of pissed me off a bit. A United States soldier. There's also other things I'm coming across on Facebook that I didn't exactly understand why. And I still can't verify it. But if it is true, then I really got to dig into it. Apparently there's somebody in the United States government, Senate, who wants changing our immigration status totally upside down. Give me a second here. She must be obeyed. Alright, back to dark and log status. Sorry about this, I'm dealing with a psychotic dog. Woke up and decided she wanted everything in the world. So this soldier was immigrated to the United States from Venezuela. You probably heard about this guy. He grew up in the United States. He was still under the immigration situation over there. Young age after getting out of high school, goes in the United States military. The military should have been helping out with his immigration status. He goes into 2 wars. 2 places of combat. Gets PTSD through it. Purple Heart. Becomes a hero. Problem is, the United States currently doesn't look at that as adequate reasons to keep the guy here. Because he had PTSD developed, he got into trouble with the law, did some time, trying to straighten up his life with the PTSD, trying to get help for it, and then discovers that his government that he emigrated to as a young kid no longer likes him because the administration's got a burr up their ass regarding his racism and prejudicial shit. And he finds himself being deported, theoretically, to Nogales, Mexico. Guy fights and saves people in combat, gets a Purple Heart, and the current administration doesn't like his ass because they're racial. This is America. We even treat citizens or even certified United States citizens as pieces of trash. We even moved the Native Americans out of our country. This is the administration we voted in. Doesn't anybody recognize that one? We were told, we ignored, we got them in, and now we're dealing with the medical cases here. To the point where we got a warship and several fleets, actually several ships, ready to declare war on the Caribbean, mostly on Central and South America. And if we happen to disagree with the regime in any way, shape, or form, we're going to get harangued. But if we are browned, tanned, charcoal, even if we are Oriental, we're open season unless you're white. And if you're white, you're not even, you're still open season. If you happen to go against the regime in any way, shape, or form, you're going to be harangued. I couldn't prove my citizenship except for old tattered paperwork that I have to get upgraded. And there are processes in order for me to do that. A lot of it. You have to shell out money to get a new bureaucracy updated. They still want me, the regime wants me to get the real ID because it's the law. No, it's not mandatory being forced on my ass. I still got an ID to show them that, yeah, I'm here in the state of California. I'm a resident. I collected taxes. I'm on disability. I never fought on any wars. Wasn't qualified for the military service. But I'm still a citizen of the United States. But because I would go against the regime by talking against it, telling them that they're fascist, racist, and they're emulating 1930s, and this is the bitch of it. They want to emulate that kind of style, that lifestyle, that mentality. They say, fuck history. We know what we're doing here. We're just going to get rid of the bad people. What we consider the bad people. You spoke against the regime. You didn't celebrate us. You didn't declare your loyalty to a person. So you get to go. You get to be harangued on the street. How about this? You're in a car coming home from a party and you're a kid. You see this guy with a t-shirt and short pants having a stroll, and somehow he points a gun at you and starts yelling and screaming at you. Just for the fun of it. Just for whatever was going on with this guy. And he's Latino. But he's a Latino ICE agent. From what neighbors are saying, that he is an ICE agent. He claims he's law enforcement, but is he? They haven't even identified which particular agency owns his ass. But they can put his name out there. And this happened in Temecula, California. I'm just checking the local feeds. And this kid gets terrorized by this ICE agent. He's afraid of getting detained. And if it wasn't for neighbors coming out and his family coming out with documentation that the guy lives in the United States, the kid's Mexican. He's Mexican American. He's born in the States. And the neighbors had us around this one guy But they also called 911 on this guy because he pulled out a gun out of a truck that's just doing its business. Kids driving home, trying to get back home. Not running anybody else down, not speeding. And the guy decides to point a gun at a kid. An unarmed kid. You don't brandish and pull your weapon out unless you think you're threatened. But it was shown on the video that was being caught by other people's surveillance cameras that the guy was just walking through the neighborhood like he's owned the place. The neighbors are afraid of this guy because he's an ICE agent. So this ICE agent is going to threaten people with a gun. And in turn, he gets arrested because he broke a lot of charges, state and federal. Federal they could probably forgive, but the state, they're not forgiven. So he's going to get his ass reamed on this one. Here's the thing concerning about the federal reach at this point. She's going to be on the ground, but I need my hands. The thing is with the regime that we have, I can't call it an administration anymore. I have to call it a regime. Because that's what they're considering themselves as a regime. They think the federal pardon laws or federal pardoning can even override states. But the bitch of it is because we have separation of church and... let me try it again. We have implied powers according to the Constitution of the United States, which means the states are able to do their own rules, regulations, laws, and enforcement of that. And if you happen to break their laws, it's not subject to federal oversight. But the federal government thinks that they can do that with a universal forgiveness of each officer who's following the Trump regime. They can override states at will. We're showing you the fact that states are not covered under federal law, at least when it comes down for enforcement of their own laws, rules, and regulations. So we got lawsuits happening. Give me 1 second. So the thing I don't understand and get is the carte blanche with no override, no oversight, no nothing. It gets even worse. One of our U.S. senators has been reported, and it's not verifiable, of changing the immigration status around a great deal. And who can and who cannot serve the public when it comes down for Congress or for any other public office. That somebody's trying to make America first. And you have to be born in the country or in the territories to run for a public office, regardless if it's local up to the national. Some dumbass U.S. senator has got this shit going on. And he thinks that by putting this act on the floor in Senate, does this asshole actually understand that the Constitution did not say this? But he wants to make a bill of it. He wants to make it an act. He wants to make it into an amendment. And I don't think this guy actually understands how hard it is to get an amendment in the process. Every state's got to agree to it. Every state's got to have its own convention and agree to the whole damn thing. And then there's got to be a 2/3 vote in each branch. Both in the House and Congress. And he ain't got them. But he's putting it out there just to support his own dumbass constituents. Did they actually want him to do this? Or are they actually pushing him not to do this? Now, somebody's been posting this shit. I don't know if it's artificial intelligence or not. But I can tell you that Google artificial intelligence doesn't recognize it, says it's bullshit. But that still leaves the question in my head on this one. If it's out there, why haven't we heard about it? Why hasn't it been there? If it is out there at all. But we can't do this. The Constitution, if we're really going to be following the Constitution at this point over here, does not discriminate for people running for public office. Meaning, if you were coming from, let's say, a non-white looking country, you just emigrated to the country, either as a child and grew up in America, or you emigrated to the country, spent several years trying to get certified as a citizen of the country, and then decided that your local races need some representation. Because you have to work hard in that particular town that you live in that community, to prove to them that you are worthy of that particular position in that town that you live in. And that you love the town that much that you want to do everything you can for it. Be supportive. Or you could be like somebody born into the country, but still look like you're not white. And still run for town politics. May lead up to state politics, which will lead up to federal. What the racial thing I keep seeing is, if you're not white, screw you. That means if you're darkened in any way, shape, or form, and not just by getting yourself roasted in the sun. I mean, if you're not white, then it's like giving you the finger and saying, fuck you, you're not an American. You're not American. Without a capital A. It's pissy when you get a Native American who hasn't been doing anything wrong, gets picked up by ICE because she's not white. She's Native American. And it takes a tribe to prove documentation that she has been here all along. And we European descendants are the invaders. Of course, I think they got her out already. But a Native American, indigenous tribe, threatened by a white regime who's intolerant of differences, who doesn't like and celebrate differences, who doesn't like plurality. That only one way of thinking is the only right way for it. And a regime, doesn't matter which representative we're talking about here, believes in that wholeheartedly. And we've got people going to news organizations talking about it on camera a great deal. Even a priest can get harangued, released. But still, the message was, we have the power, we have the fear, deal with it. And besides, we have you on camera. We have everything on camera to celebrate our goodness over the country. For the rest of the world watching this is America. We voted it in. Someone had been mentioning about, and actually wondering if we've gotten up to this point. Maybe we have. What we had seen is innocent humor, or probably racially dividing humor, back in the 60s and 70s. Actually, 50s and 60s are almost homogenized until you get into the 70s where they got into edgy. And it's that kind of profiling that even in our cartoons we're showing how screwed up we are in our thinking. We still laugh at it. We're trying to laugh at ourselves. Maybe we shouldn't have. Maybe we should have stuck with playing homogenized, white-looking America on the 1950s and 60s sitcoms and television shows. Because color wasn't accepted and still isn't accepted. It doesn't matter which race you are. If you're born in the United States or not. If you're not white, you're not accepted. This is the message, unfortunately, our elected leaders are still producing. And we did this to ourselves. People have this idea that America is free. We're no longer free. We were chained up a long time ago in our own racial profiling, demonizing people left and right, and thinking we're better than everybody else. And then when you have a regime saying that we need to go back to the 1938 to 39. Well, which particular country, I wonder? Because the leader of our War Department, who has very little military training, but had so much on public mass media that he thought he knew everything. So now he's trying to make the comparison and making our military guys uncomfortable as hell. From the leaders all the way down to the foot soldiers and sailors. And this is the world we got. We're threatening war with countries. There had to be even talk that would be threatening war with Canada, let alone Mexico. We got the Caribbean power. We might as well take it all. Take all the little islands for ourselves. Take all the Central American countries and South American countries. The ones that actually got some money and stuff that we can pillage, pilfer, and burn and profit from. Call it justifiable. Or justifying murder in the water. So why not justify something is cruel across our Canadian borders? Let alone Greenland, if we still had to burn up their ass trying to get that continent. And not just because it's strategic. They say it's strategic because it's got minerals. We want it. We want to pilfer, pillage, and plunder it. Make it ours. Screw trade. Well, we can actually use military might to use it. To get it. And piss off other countries in NATO. Tell them to go fuck themselves. Some people can they can only stand maybe a few minutes at a time. Well, that's not my problem. I'm just saying what's being reflected in what I'm seeing right now. You guys outside the United States, stay outside. Because right now our country is not the warmest, welcoming country on the face of the planet. We're turning into be one of these cold despots out there because we got an orange gas bag and his regime, family and elected, who think they can own the world. They own your ass. What are you going to do about it, world? What are you going to do about it? That being said.